Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I'm your host, Kendall Aaliyah.
And I'm Julia Renee. So beautiful.
I never know what to say after the sound.
I know. I don't either. But what I do realize is that my hair is always a week dirty when we film.
Mine usually is too.
Today's my hair wash day.
Mine is sometimes on Tuesday if it's like that bad. I actually gauge it off of will Julia judge me for how greasy my hair is tomorrow. And I know you would never.
The
I know
answer
you
is
would
never.
But
because mine is.
But I feel like your hair is always like perfectly done. And there's some days like today where my hair is just gross. And I'm like, Julia would be ashamed.
I do weirdly like when it is like a hair wash day, because then I never do my slick back look when I have clean hair.
Yeah.
Because that means that I'm gonna have wax in my hair all week, and I'm just going to look dirty. So I love the slick back look. And I love it when I do have dirty hair because then I get to do it. So today I just slicked back the top and then only curled the back portion.
I like slick back on you. I do not like slick back on myself. I feel like an egg.
Kind of like it sometimes, and then I kind of don't because I'm like, wow, all you see is face.
Yeah, right. Like
and you look bald.
I want to get your opinion. I'll get it live. And you can be honest. But there's this girl I follow. Hold on, I need to find her. And I always forget her name, so just give me 2 seconds. I think it's Jennifer. Maybe. Possibly. Okay, I can't find it. I'll show you a photo after. But she has like the tiniest bit of like kind of bangs. But like in most of her videos, it just blends into her hair. But she can like pull out the strands when time. And I'm thinking about doing it.
Are they actually bangs though?
Yeah.
How short are they?
When she styles them, they're like traditional bangs,
are
but they're so
wispy.
Yeah, they're so wispy that like it'll just blend into her hair when she doesn't want them. And I'm considering it because I'm sick of my forehead for some reason.
I have a feeling you're gonna cut them yourself.
The issue, is I typically would, so I'm making myself not if I decide to cut my hair again. I'm like, from now on, I'm not touching my hair. I haven't touched it since your mother. I know I should have gotten a trim by now, but I haven't. But that's okay.
I mean, you're not a hair trimmer kind of gal.
No. It's one length, just going to grow it out type of gal.
There's the girls that do the every, 8-week or 4-week haircut or whatever.
It would never be me.
And then there's girls that wait 8 years before they cut their hair.
That's me.
But also, I mean, I go every 8 weeks to get my extensions bumped up. So it's like, I'm like, just trim it then. Like, we'll just do a little trimmy trim.
But you like grew up in that environment, yes. I feel.
Oh.
I did not.
Yeah, I spent a number of days standing in the kitchen having my mom cut my hair.
I think the one haircut I remember as a child, I cut it up to my shoulders. And my mom said, love you so much, never do that again. So I'm just traumatized.
I one time cut my hair and hid it in a plant.
I have
container.
A way worse story.
I put it in the dirt. And my mom was watering the plants and found just a chunk of my hair in the dirt. Honestly, though,
I wish I was smart enough to hide mine. You know what I had like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a wardrobe, like a closet, but like built-in door, whatever.
Narnia style?
A thing. And I had like a shelving unit in it, and I would just put my hair behind it as though it would just disappear, evaporate.
Kids do stuff like that.
I used to, oh my gosh.
Like hide it
Hold
in
on,
like
I
places
have so many more stories
that aren't really places.
I used to take my my Build-A-Bears and give them haircuts.
What?
So I would like actually take
cut a Build-A-Bear hair.
Exactly. And I don't know why I thought it would grow back and I could do it on a regular basis, but like half of my stuffed animals had bald spots and I would hide it in the same spot. So there's just like a little mound of hair back there.
And then your mom comes and she's like, does my daughter need therapy?
Absolutely.
Because she's hiding, she's just chopping.
Dude, I was a weird kid.
I'm just imagining there being a Build-A-Bear that has like, you know how it has like maybe a half an inch of tuft?
Yep.
And then it just has like a dent in it.
Yep.
And that was for me.
Yeah, I don't know what
and
my
you're
problem
like, I'll
was.
see you in 4 weeks for your next haircut. It just never grows back.
And I knew it was like wrong and bad to do. I would hide it. I would like cut their hair like under my blanket, like scared. What was I doing? Anyway, okay.
She's a hairstylist.
I thought so. I'm a mess today, and I feel like that's already apparent. So I want to explain a little bit as to why.
Okay.
Because this
Enlighten
is
us.
it's one of those like, okay, Kendall's Unhinged today is either going to be a great episode or the worst one I've ever filmed. So I apologize either way because I'm just not all here today.
I'm here for it though.
A little rundown of the past 24 hours, and I'll try to make it brief, is I'm dog sitting for one of my clients because she's out of town. She asked me like a month ago. I said, of course, because I always say yes to things like that. And the thing is, I was in and out all day yesterday. Yesterday was fine. She's just gone yesterday. She gets home today. So it was like yesterday, last night, today. And then she'll be back. So I go to her house, and her house is kind of respectfully in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful home, but like one of those houses where there's like a main road and you turn off that main road and then take 20 more turns into the woods. That's where her house is at. And that's also kind of how I grew up. Not quite as like out in the middle of nowhere, but I grew up like surrounded by forests. So I feel like I have this little like PTSD of like childhood anxiety of being left home alone and assuming someone was going to come kidnap me.
Yeah.
So
Murder you. Yeah.
exactly. So it was expected of me, I believe, to sleep at the house, or at least like she offered it of like, hey, I have a guest room. You can just sleep here, wake up, feed the dogs, whatever. I get there at like 9 p.m. because again, I was in and out all day yesterday. I would spend a few hours with the dogs and then I would like go have a client or have to like run home for something and then come back for my own dogs. So I get there as like my last going out and coming back at 9 p.m. And then I'm sitting there and then it turns into 10 p.m., 11, 12, 1. It's 2 in the morning and I'm like, I'm not sleeping here. I was so anxious. I was like, there's simply no way. So she lives like 30 minutes from me. I drive home. I get home around like 2:15 a.m. I go to sleep and I'm like, but I don't want to like just not be there for her dogs. Like she expected me to be there. So I get up at 5 a.m., which is 3 hours later. Drive back to her house. Her dogs are asleep and they sleep in a kennel. So they're just asleep. They didn't even know I left.
That was this morning?
Yeah. So
no wonder you watched my stories at 6 something in the morning.
I was like, oh my gosh, why is Julia up?
awake.
So I'm just a bit unhinged. I'm on 3 hours of sleep and like I have such a guilt complex where I was like, she's gonna hate me for not sleeping there, as though she would care at all.
No, as long as the dog's taken care of, that's all that matters.
Exactly. So yeah, I've had a weird last 24 hours / 12 hours and I'm running on no sleep and a lot of paranoia. So that's how I'm doing.
No sleep and a lot of paranoia.
No, literally, I like haven't felt anxiety like that in a long time, but driving like to her house again, like middle of nowhere, and she has neighbors, but like you can't see them, like a ton of woods in between. She has a ton of land. And again, it's beautiful, but at night it's spooky and there's no street lights. So on my drive there was the first time I had that like sinking anxiety in a long time. And I was like, oh no, I have a feeling I'm not sleeping here.
Did you just lay down until like toss and turn? Did you fall asleep at all
there? I brought
a
book with me. So I was laying on the couch. The dogs were like in the same room as me. The guest room was like off of the living room. So I like walk into the living room. I like sat there for a minute. I was like, I'm just going to chill on the couch by the dogs. Like at least I'm by something. And then I just read for like several hours and I was like not getting tired because I was just like any sound, I would close my book and look around. Like I was just paranoid.
Because we know that when Kendall's paranoid, she sleeps on the couch in the living room instead of going into a room.
I like to see all the doors. So if I hear a sound, I can check. I can scan.
It's almost like weird for me. It's like I'd rather, whenever I get scared, I'd rather be upstairs, like in my room.
Really?
So that I know in like a closed space so that I'll be very aware if someone goes into the closed space.
I think I have become,
I don't know.
I'm paranoid, but then I'm weirdly brave. So like this morning I'm doing my makeup at her house. I'm like in the guest bathroom and the dogs start barking and like you would expect me to like cower it away, but I like charged out there and I was like, who are we barking at? And like,
I want to join.
So yeah. And what else was I going to say? Oh, at my own house, I have like a ton of cameras. So like if anything happens, I can check my phone. At her place, I'm like blind. Anyway, it's not that deep, but I just wanted you to know that's why I'm a little weird today.
It's okay.
Thanks.
It's okay. I kind of like weird, sleepless paranoia, Kendall, For me, it's funny, but it might not be. It might not be for you.
I actually enjoy when my mind's like this because I don't have the energy to overthink or care about anything.
You're like, I've exhausted my overthinking capabilities, so we're just gonna.
That's my new
out.
flight tactic because, as we know, I had flight anxiety for a little bit. I'm over it now. I've been fine my last few flights. But when I was having it, I would pull. I actually still do it, so maybe that's why. But I pull all-nighters and I'll opt for like a 6 a.m. flight. That way I'm so tired, I do not care at all.
So what? I had one of my friends come and stay. It was Liv. Liv, you guys, if you've been on the podcast, she's been on the podcast, but she does it completely different to where she was getting like ready to go on a flight and she was drinking an energy drink like while I was driving her to the airport. And I was like, that's interesting because I actually, you know me, I'm always drinking coffee, I always drink energy drinks, but when I go to the airport, I don't, so that I can actually like sleep or relax on the plane. And she's like, you know, she does the opposite. She has like a lot of energy on the plane, so either like she's reading, like she's doing some sort of like work. She's like, so when I get home, I'm absolutely exhausted, so that when I lay down, I just...
That's fair.
And I was like, okay, that's like the complete opposite of what I do.
We both have a similar approach, though, because when I arrive wherever I'm arriving post-flight, I'm going to sleep because I have not slept in 24 hours.
I remember when I competed in Puerto Rico and it was me and Ian going together. The like only flight was, I don't know, we got in at like maybe 2 a.m. or I don't know.
Our time or their time?
Their time.
Okay.
And we got in, and by the time we got the rental car and we got there, it's like 3 a.m. or something like that. And then both of us get in and we just slept until like 9 a.m. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It was so weird, but it was one of the best sleeps I've ever had.
Sometimes getting to that point of exhaustion is good for us.
Yes.
Me gaslighting myself to feel better about not sleeping.
I definitely felt that way yesterday. Yesterday, I had another training. I had a quad day, and I've told you guys, I'm only training quads like intentionally or isolated quad stuff every other week because my glutes and hams, we've trying to focus on growing that more than my quads because my quads are already big enough. So I trained them yesterday, and of course, I like went way too ham, and it was one of those workouts where I left and was like, uh-oh, this is not going to be good.
I went a little too hard.
I was sore by the time that I got home from the gym.
Those are the
already.
best, though.
And then getting out of the car, it was like, and then we have so many flights of stairs in this townhome that there's a flight of stairs to go up out of the garage where I park. There's a flight of stairs from the living room to the kitchen because I need to get my meal.
A lot of stairs.
And then there's 2 flights of stairs to go upstairs to the podcast studio and the master bedroom. So it was just terrible. I woke up today and I still did cardio today. Like honestly, I didn't
of you.
I didn't think I was going to be able to make it, but somehow my legs have managed. But we'll see what happens tonight.
That was me last week because I've talked a little bit about like integrating running into my program, and I'm not running anything crazy. Like it's usually 1 to like 2.5 miles at most, and even then it's like a very, very slow pace 2.5. But I tried running the day after a leg day last week, and the way my legs felt like I was carrying cement on me, like I think my starting pace was like a 20-minute mile. I was like, I might as well be walking.
Yeah.
Because you just feel so heavy. I hate that feeling.
That's how my legs feel right now. Thank God I have a massage later.
Nice.
But we did get an email in from a listener, and it was really sweet, and I wanted to share it.
I haven't read it because I like the surprises of hearing
really cute.
Things.
It says, "Hi, Julia and Kendall. I'm sure you get a bunch of messages just like this, but I wanted to add my 2 cents because I believe that you should share positive thoughts if you can. I'm 32 years old and from England," and she put in parentheses, cue Julia reading this in an English accent.
You better start.
I don't even know. Like I don't even.
Hello.
I'm like, hello. That's more like. Hello.
I feel like I'm just disrespectful when I try.
No. I tried it one time, but it always turns into like my Stewie voice.
Which has a mild English accent to it. So it's not wrong.
It always turns into Stewie. Anyways, and she says, "I started exercising a few years ago during a period of bad mental health. I've lived with depression and anxiety since my early teens, and going to the gym a few times a week is one of the many things I do to help manage it. I recently been struggling with poor mental health again, feeling depressed and lonely, and this is where your podcast comes in. Listening to you guys makes me feel less alone, and your positive vibes have really helped boost my mood and calm me down when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't normally listen to podcasts, but yours really helps me, and I look forward to your episodes every week. It's one of the weapons I keep in my mental health arsenal that I know I can rely on. So I wanted to email to say a huge thank you. You guys are making a difference in my life, and you're doing an amazing job. Toodle pip.
That's so English.
Toodle pip. P.S. I hope this didn't come across as super parasocial. I'm not weird in parentheses, in that way at least, I promise. P.P.S. I'm an audio girl. I listen to you guys on the commute. It's good to know.
That is so, so sweet. And also, like, this is how I have so many comfort podcasts. Like, at the house last night when I was paranoid, I, like, walked in listening to, like, one of my favorite podcast
You're just
episodes.
holding it up and you're like,
literally,
using
they, like,
it.
give me strength.
You're using it as, like, holy water against the ghosts.
So it is, like, unreal to hear that we're that for other people because I have so many that I listen to where I'm like, I never even interact. I never comment. I never anything. I just like watch them religiously and feel like I am their friend. So I get the parasocialness of it all as well.
Yeah. I do that less. Well, with podcasts, I always list, like I do listen to a couple, and then for me, it's like shows. It's like, when I'm needing comfort or I'm going through like a rough time or I'm on prep, I watch Gilmore Girls,
which you just told me you're watching again
because it's just like that comfort, and I'm fine, like I'm fine, guys. But that comfort, or it's like The Office, I'll watch that again, or Friends, I'll watch that again. I just finished watching Jane the Virgin again for the second time.
Love that one.
I love Jane the Virgin.
I don't think I've ever rewatched that, but it was great when I watched it the first time.
I love it. And I'm like, I've been trying to get myself to watch something else because I heard that Bridgerton was good.
Yeah.
I'm like, Bridgerton? But then I keep going back to that comfort one because I just like it. I'm thinking about starting it tonight because Zach's not here. And when Zach and I are together, we watch something together, and then when we're separate, we watch our separate shows. So I sound like my mother. My mom's like, when my dad leaves out of town, she watches her like soaps.
That's when I watched like the Kardashians.
Yeah. Because you're like, he's not gonna.
We usually don't watch TV together though, period. But when I do watch TV, it's usually in our bedroom. That way I can like work on my computer and have it running. So then like we're both in that room, and I know he doesn't want it. He'll make some joke about the Kardashians, and then I'll get offended on their behalf, and then it ruins my night.
And then I get offended on their behalf.
Yeah. There's like this YouTube channel, super popular. It's been around, I think they've been posting for over 10 years. Good Mythical Morning. And it's like these two guys. Do you know what?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
I view them as like dads of YouTube. And they'll just like sit there and like every morning they post 2 videos every single morning. I think it's every single morning, or at least every single weekday morning. Could be wrong. But anyway, I would like, Cooper has never watched them. And I put them on last night, and then today, or 2 nights ago, and then the next day he made a joke about not liking them, and I was like, simply never talk to me again. Like I get offended for other creators when someone else doesn't like them.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so sad. I do try to get Zach to watch some of the things that I do, but we were getting ready to watch like Friends together, and it was almost like I wanted to keep that show to myself. And he's like, well, you keep starting shows without me, so of course, like I don't want to pick it up like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we tried to watch. He's like, we tried to watch Friends together, and then you started watching it again without me. And I was like, I think it's because it's like my comfort show.
Yeah.
And I keep it over here in this pile, and I just want to keep it from you.
I think we have like very different tastes, and well, honestly, he just doesn't like TV, period. And I'm not like a huge TV watcher, but when I do, it's my comfort shows as well, which for me, it's like been Modern Family, New Girl. I've never really gotten into Friends, but the clips I've seen, I know I would like it. So I need to just like find it and watch it. Yeah. But all the shows like that, and he's like, well, I don't want to watch something you've watched a million times. And I'm like, but I do.
Yeah, I don't care that I watch it. The thing about a comfort show is that usually you've already watched it.
Yeah. And I still get giddy like over New Girl, like when certain people get together, I still get excited, and I'm like, I'm pathetic.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I like missed that weirdly, even though I've seen it 8 times through already.
Yeah.
I like weirdly miss things.
I also have a bad memory, so I genuinely forget the storyline, and then it'll like jog my memory, and I'm like excited again.
Zach says that I'm annoying when I'm watching a movie, because even if we watch a movie that we've already seen, because we go through the Marvel movies over and over and over again, he's like, you still ask questions about what's going to happen and you act like you've never seen it before. Because I'll be like, oh my God, like, wait. And then I was like, wait, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, they're literally going to say it within the next 5 seconds. And I'm like, but I can't wait that long. I want you to tell me now. And he's like, just wait. And I'm like, no, now. And then 2 seconds later, it's like the answer is revealed. And I'm like, well, you could have just told me earlier.
So you know how like we've watched movies together and you're like, Kendall won't shut the F up.
I talk through movies.
I don't usually ask questions. I'll just like, it'll remind me of something and I feel like I have to say it. So Cooper put on this movie, like a movie from like 2005, Will Ferrell. It's recently added to Netflix and we were just like eating lunch. So we just threw it on. I forget the name.
Talladega Nights?
No. Kicking and Screaming?
Yeah. We watched Talladega Nights last night.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Lord baby Jesus sitting in a manger.
I need to. Kicking and Screaming. Have you seen this one? Oh,
no.
Anyway, he just reminds me of something, so then I say something, and he ignores me, of course. And then, like, 2 minutes go by, and I go, oh, also. And then he just looks at me, and I go, I'm so sorry, and I will never speak again.
I guess I'll shut up now.
Because I just get really, when I'm in a yappy mood, there's no shutting me up. Like today.
She said, like today. Glances.
Anyway. You got this.
My mom gets so mad at me because I think I've only seen Talladega Nights one time.
I need to look it up.
And when he's praying, he says, Lord, baby Jesus sitting in the manger, you know, little tiny baby, 8.9 pound baby Jesus. And the wife's like, why do you keep saying baby Jesus?
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah.
Forever ago.
Yeah. So sometimes whenever I'm with my mom, I say that about Jesus. I'm like, Lord, baby Jesus. She gets so mad at me. She's so mad. I'm like, well, and I just realized last night, I'm like, oh my God, I do that. And I had no idea.
I quote this movie all the time.
I like know that I didn't make it up, but I just didn't realize that I had been using it from that movie for so long. And my mom hates it. Mom, if you're listening to this, accent. Lord, baby Jesus sitting in the manger, please grant us a really good podcast. Please. Thank you. Amen.
That's how I think I envisioned every Southern person before moving here.
That's how everyone thinks that we're going to talk when they come to Texas. And we're like,
I fully thought people were going to like ride horses to school. Like I really didn't know what Texas was about.
What are those things, those little things that...
The buggies?
No, they're like the hay circles that bounce around. People think those are just rolling around.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are those called?
Circle things.
I can like picture the word, but I don't know. Whatever.
It's
tumbleweed?
Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
You're not even from here. And you know.
Well, exactly. I had the
tumbleweeds, the
boats, had the presumption of
the hats.
I want to talk about your Jubilee video if we will.
If you guys haven't seen it, I was on the Jubilee YouTube channel where they do like social experiments. Mm-hmm. And I was on this one series that they do called The Odd One Out. Mm-hmm. It's going to be linked on our Instagram story, so you guys got to go watch it. I know some of you already did.
They're so entertaining.
It was funny. It's just funny to see me on camera that I'm not the one in charge of the camera.
But I felt like you did so good because, okay, I am like a Jubilee stan. I've seen almost all of their Odd One Out videos. And I know what makes like a good odd man out and a bad one, and you crush it because I felt like you led without being like, I don't want to say annoying.
I was definitely the main character.
But like in a really good way, because I've seen people like do reactions and sometimes someone takes that leader role on, but they're like really aggressive about it and like intent. You did like a perfect job.
My sister texted me and she was like, you're scaring everybody in all caps, because my mom, my sister, and Kendall were all like, when's it coming out? So I sent them the link as soon as it came out. And the whole theme of Odd One Out is there's 6 people that are like telling
of a category.
They're telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And there's one person that's not telling the truth. That's the odd one out. So for us, there was 6 muscle mommies and 1 fake. So the 6 muscle mommies, like they ranged from like, we had bodybuilders, we had people that did just like Pilates, we had girls that did like rock climbing and stuff like that. The majority of the girls that were there were bodybuilders. There was 2 wellness competitors and 2 bikini competitors. Mm-hmm. And the odd one out, I can give it away because it's very obvious when you're watching it, because we were blindfolded, the muscle mommies, because of course, you know, using your eyes, you can usually tell if someone's a muscle mommy or if they're not. So it was so weird doing it blindfolded.
That would have freaked me. I don't do well when I don't have all my senses.
I was blindfolded from the minute I walked in the building.
That's crazy.
So we all got there, and we had to text them whenever we were there. And we couldn't get out of our cars until they texted us. So one by one, the girls would come in. They would blindfold them before we got into the building, and they set us in separate they walked us everywhere. So we had someone holding our hands, and I was like, in that moment, I was like, this could easily go very wrong, and someone could just take me somewhere, and I'm trusting that these people are who they say they are.
Right.
And so I was walked into a room, sat down, blindfolded, sitting in a chair, silent. And you can't talk.
That's so scary.
Because there's another girl in the room that was with me, and they split us up like 2 in each room before we went to the main stage. And I'm just sitting there quiet, like.
I would have hated that.
And then so finally they come in and they put us all in the room, and then we start the thing. It was so crazy.
That's nuts. You did so well though. And I felt like you were so good at talking, but I did say to Cooper, I was like, if I was not her best friend, would be scared of her. I did say that out loud.
Well, because when I was there, I think that was a very good representation of how I might come across to other people when I was able to see how people react to me. And it was crazy because I'm blindfolded and I'm just being myself. Like I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was also blindfolded. This is kind of easier to like be yourself because you're not making like eye contact with people. But watching it back, I was like, oh my God, is that how I am?
But it's your sense of humor.
I texted my sister, I was like, am I really that scary? And she's like,
yes. You're like funny, intimidating, if that makes sense.
So funny to see because now after watching it, I can actually see how people were reacting to me and their faces like were stuff, and the way that like I reacted to other people, and you couldn't see that before.
One of the girls that you asked like a specific question to when she was in her interview portion said something like, I knew I messed up. And I was like, oh.
I think it was, okay, so one of the girls in there who was also a wellness competitor, and all the girls got to chat after. We took pictures after. We just couldn't post about it because we couldn't give away that we were going to be on it yet. And they were all so cool. So one of the girls called me Renee. And I was like, how do you know my middle name? Why did you call me Renee?
Yeah.
And I was like, I was trying to like suss it out. And I was like, she must already... She has to know who I am. And she's like, no, I got you confused with Renee Jewett. Renee Jewett is a wellness competitor. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's, you could have, definitely.
Was that true? Or
no.
Did she, okay. So after she said, I knew your voice.
So afterwards, she was like, I follow you on Instagram and I watch your YouTube channel.
That's awesome.
And she goes, so it was almost like I knew you were, I can tell by your voice that you were Julia Renee. And I guess like I accidentally said Renee. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
That is pretty sick. Cool. But on the video, you turned towards her.
I was like, how do you know my name?
You're like, what did you just call me?
What did you just call me?
It was so good. And you crushed it. And I'm so glad you I think I would have I also kind of felt bad. And I think that's why you seemed intense in the video. Again, like I loved the intenseness because that's you. And I love seeing it in settings like that. It was like watching, I don't know. It was like, I probably felt the same way as you watching it. We were like watching someone you know so well in a different setting.
Yeah,
and you're
it was
like,
so
whoa.
weird. It was
But I think it was so polarizing because the woman who was the mole was so timid and anxious and quiet. And I just wanted to like give her a hug.
She was so sweet. And the girl who was the odd one out, she was 6'5", and she has something called I'm going to say it wrong, Munchausen syndrome or something like that. And she's incredibly tall. So they had her make up a story. And the story was that she had gotten in an accident, and that's why she was sitting down. So they had her sitting down, and she was sitting down nearish me on a chair. And I was like, okay, like that's a little weird. Like, why would they make somebody come out here And
that was
I was
just
like,
an
I know that
accident.
I flew out here. That was just, and I was like, okay, this is sketchy. But I know now that the reason they did that is because she's so tall.
You would have been like, huh?
She would have been talking from way up there.
Yeah.
And she actually is from Austin, Texas.
No way.
Yes.
That's
so we were
sick.
talking after, and she was like, I'm actually really inspired to like work out now after being like around you guys. I was like, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
And then we got to talking, and she lives here in Austin.
Yeah, she just, I could tell she was like really anxious, and being a fellow anxious girl, I just wanted to give her a hug the whole time. She seemed so sweet, but she did not know much about the bodybuilding world specifically.
Yeah,
so.
she's like, I kept asking like my brother and stuff like that if I could have some meal ideas and training stuff, and that's a lot to memorize. Like you have to pretend to know a lot about something that you don't know.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of like BSing people, and if you don't like lying, it's kind of hard.
I'm not a good liar.
Yeah.
I would not be good on one of those unless I was like I feel like even if I was the person telling the truth, I would convince myself I was lying and somehow still be anxious.
Because that's the thing. It's like, if you're just questioned even like a little bit, like there was one girl that was starting to get questioned that was next to me. And even though she wasn't the mole, like you start to get questioned about
you go, oh my gosh, you're like, do I?
Am I?
I don't know what protein is anymore.
Yeah. And it was just so cool. But there was another one that was done, and it's the odd one out, but it's 6 vegans and 1 fake vegan. That one was one of the most interesting odd one outs to watch, because when I got asked to be on it and did my casting call and everything, I went and started watching all of them so I can get an idea of what it was like. That one was intense.
That's the one that I'm talking about, where a lot of people were hating on the people that were taking the charge because they were like almost judging the other people. But it's
funny because on that video, the one guy that was taking charge and he was talking so much and like all of this stuff, they didn't believe he was the fake vegan. They thought he was the real vegan because of how much, and so he got away with it. Yeah. And he did his interview afterwards and was like, I wanted to be the obnoxious one. I went in with being the character of being the one that's obnoxious, because he was so like quote unquote obnoxious that they started actually not talking to him. They started
like, okay, we get it, dude.
Okay, they started making him shut up, because every time they would ask a question, he would be the first one to answer. And he's like, I just annoyed them so much that they didn't even acknowledge me anymore.
That's so funny.
I was like, you're a genius.
Those are so fun to watch. I'm still like, I don't know, I'm like fangirling that you were on there.
It was really cool.
My best friend was on Jubilee.
And Zach and I might do one of the couples ones, because afterwards they sent me the casting call for like other ones, because I was telling Zach, I was like, I think I really like, we can do one together. And there's like a couple that are filming for the rest of the year. And there's one couple one where actually, I don't know if I could say.
Okay.
It might be a new thing.
Just in case.
It might be a new thing that they're doing, but there's a couple one that Zach and I want to do.
I would love to see you guys do something together.
I know.
That'd be so
Zach
fun.
was like, we win it. And I'm like, yeah, we would.
It's like not even a competition.
Both of us
you
are
guys go
so
in like, let's go.
And like very forward with how we speak. People would probably hate us.
That's awesome. I'm glad you had a good experience too, because I'm always curious what like the behind the scenes of something like that is like. And even though it was kind of weird being blindfolded immediately, it seemed like it all went smoothly.
There's also one that was posted maybe a week or two before mine, and it was fit versus fat, and I sent it to you. Greg Doucette was on it. Yeah. Another guy, Andrew Jack or something like that. That one got like 5.8 million views, because I think it was such like a polarizing thing.
I don't do well watching polarizing content usually. Again, it just makes me anxious.
They also had that one guy, the fit,
you got
fit,
this?
fat, the fit. That
I don't know
guy.
what you're talking about.
I'm like, the guy.
This was like me last week going, the white.
Yeah, the white. The guy, it's like he has the podcast that's like fit, fat, fit.
Should I Google
the
it?
one that's super polarizing, and it's almost like you think he acts like he hates women, and if you see his face, you know what I say. He has all of those TikTok sounds that go viral for all the wrong reasons.
Fit versus fat?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I know him.
Are you on the Jubilee video?
No, that's not it. That's a podcast with 2 women. I was wrong.
I don't know his name.
That's okay. We can add it in later.
Yes.
Go watch the video yourself.
Super polarizing. Yeah.
So I didn't watch it, but I got the gist.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it and I was like, this is hard to watch. I wanted to watch it just because I wanted to see how Greg was responding on that. Also, wait, going backwards, one of the comments which is so funny, one of the comments I read on the Jubilee video that I was in was like, why is Julia giving Bretman rock?
Yes, I saw that comment.
And for some reason, I forgot who that was. So I went and looked him up and I was like, oh my God, thanks.
Honestly, such a compliment because he is gorgeous. And his hair is beautiful. And I feel like I see it. Like I never saw it until I read that. And I was like, I see it.
And then I had, it was my mom's birthday this past weekend, and we were talking about the video because they watched it. And my sister told me, she goes, sometimes you give me Bretman Rock vibes. And I was like, did you read the comments? And she's like, no. And I showed her the comment and she started dying laughing. And I was like, thanks. Cute. That is a real
Truly
compliment.
A compliment. I have a question of the behind the scenes. How long was filming for?
It was
because they splice them up, but you can tell that you guys are in there longer, and not everyone answers the question live, but I know in person you probably do.
So we got there at 10 a.m. and I think we left at around 12. The filming, filming of the thing didn't take long. Mm-hmm. It was afterwards because afterwards we do the interviews.
Yeah.
So the ones that they put in like in between where you're talking about what the other person said and it's just you, those are done afterwards. So we did them after and we each had to do it individually, so it took a little bit longer. And also I got to do the ad.
I saw that.
See the ad?
Yeah. Well, I watched the whole thing, so obviously I saw it, but I like screamed about it. I was like, it was such a good choice.
I know.
A good choice.
It was so cool. It was for like the Nectar app or something like that. I got it on the second try. The first try. Well, actually, I got it on the first try, but they had me do it twice because apparently
I feel like the podcast is good practice because you do ad reads. For those who watch on YouTube, they don't get to experience them, but on Spotify and Apple Music, there's always like a little ad read if Julia has something to promote.
Yes.
Yeah. And you crush it.
It was great.
You're good at ad reads.
I was like, thanks.
Welcome.
Join the Nectar app.
I don't even know what it is, but that's okay. Anything else?
Oh, I tried Pilates.
I want to so bad.
I have another session
Can
Friday.
I go with you?
I'm going to the Bar 3 this week.
Okay.
I think it's more like bar.
I will pass on that. But the next time you do Pilates.
So I did the Pilates class on Friday because on Friday I still do cardio in the morning, but I can't train legs again and I can't train upper body again. So I do more of like a HIIT yoga class.
Yeah.
Or I do like a HIIT style workout at the gym, which I hate. I'd rather go to a class and do it and someone forces me to do it. So I was like, okay,
with the class.
I'm going to swap it for a Pilates class. So I got a little free class at Club Pilates and I went and it was interesting. It was too easy.
Okay.
But also hard at the same time.
Do you think it was easy because it was like an intro free class?
No.
Because I also signed up for their intro class and then I got sick and I was like, I can't cough on these people the whole time. So I canceled and I haven't rescheduled, but that's who I was going to go with.
It's because you do it on the machine, the Pilates machine, and there's certain weights. Like you have little colors that you put the weights on. There's like blue, yellow, and green or something like that. And each one adds more weight to the slidey thing. So I just think that I've gotten so used to now, like pushing a lot of plates on squat or like on leg press, that the machine can't go heavy enough for me to make the workout challenging.
That makes sense.
However, it is challenging in the sense of I was still sore after because it targeted areas that I don't normally target, which was super cool. Like I'm still going to go again and I'm going to try it again. But I remember doing the class and it was so interesting. My feet hurt a lot. My calves hurt a lot and my abs hurt so much because I don't activate that very much. And the way that you have to keep your toes like pointed and like ballerina like, I was like, my feet hurt so bad. I got a really good calf workout too because there was some things that
and we know how much we hate calves.
And I hate calves. I had to do so much like of the pushing up of my feet on on my toes. I was like, ouch. And holding my abs, like I needed to hold my abs tight in order to like do some of the workouts. And when I got finished, because I was tracking how many calories I was burning during it, I only burned 192 calories. And in my head, because I know how I can burn 192 calories, if I just run 1 mile, I can burn 130 calories, and that is in less than 10 minutes.
Well, I think Pilates is more for exactly what you're saying, is like training different muscles and like deep core and things you don't use on like an everyday basis. And that's why I want to try it. I think I'm going into Pilates treating it kind of like a yoga, where I'm like, I know this is better for my physique long term. Yes. I'm not going to like walk out of there being like, that's the best arm pump I've ever gotten.
Yes.
You know?
And I think that I wasn't expecting it to be like that, but I used to do classes like this all the time.
Were they hard back then?
And I loved them, but they were really hard back then when I did them, because I had just started out with training, and I didn't have as much muscle as I do now, and they were really hard. And I remember putting on those little weights, like every week I'd try to do more, and I would be like so proud. And I built up to a point where then I had the confidence to go to the gym. So I really do love that those classes gave me the confidence to lift even heavier at the gym. And when I went, I think I was just like, wait, what? And then I left, and they were like, okay, guys, thank you. That was your cardio 102 class. And I was like, wait, that was cardio? And I was the reason I was confused, because of when I do cardio, usually like I burn a certain amount of calories and I'm sweating, and I've done it like that kind of way. So then when I went to that and I only burned like 192 calories, I know it's not all about that, but in my mind I went, I could have just ran if I can burn 130 calories running a mile in under 10 minutes, and if I would have ran a mile and a half, so say that took me 15 minutes, I would have burned just as much calories as this hour-long class. That's where my mind went. And I was
such a bodybuilder
I
mentality.
know, and I was like, this is so dumb. And that's not the point of the class. And I
get what you're saying, though. Yeah. And it's also, I was curious of if it was hard back then, because it's crazy how our bodies adjust. And now that you train a different way, maybe going back to something you used to do is like, well, this is not as hard as I remember. Like I remember, and I can't do them anymore. So this was just a period of time where I was lean enough that I was light enough where I could do pull-ups like nobody's business. Yes. And like, I remember just randomly trying to do pull-ups one day when I was like in prep. So I weighed like half of what I weigh now. And so it was easy. And I was like, whoa, I thought pull-ups were really hard. And now I'm back to a place where I'm like, pull-ups are really hard. So I feel like it's all relative to like how you currently train. I'm yapping too much. That's the problem.
No, that's fine. Because and also it was a cardio class, and I know that there's different classes to where we were laying down a lot, like on the machine.
My type of class.
And so I'm curious to try a different one where you're actually like standing on the machine, you're moving the machine, you're holding it and stuff like that, because I don't do a lot of that. Like I don't hold things. Yeah.
I don't have the patience to, which is why I feel like I need a class like that to force me to, like I'll do planks on occasion, but like 45 seconds and then I'm done. And
I liked it because I hate training calves and I hate training abs. I still do. It's just not my favorite. But doing a class where it forces me to work on those areas was really cool. So I will keep you guys posted, because I'm trying different Pilates bar classes to find the one that I like. So I have one on Friday, and I'll keep you posted.
Okay. I'm also trying Pilates. I will re-sign today because I have time to call them back and go, I'm so sorry for canceling.
I am so sorry that you didn't get the graces of me in your class.
I also kind of want to like film my first experience just to like document it on YouTube, but I also don't want to just like shove a camera in anyone's face. So I need to like also call and ask permission for that. And like, I hate having to ask permission for that, but I know I should.
Get early so you can get one of the corner.
Corner that way things. It's just me. I don't even want like the instructor in the video or anything. And I can always blur people if.
Yeah. I did a video like that a long time ago on my YouTube channel, trying different workout classes. And it was actually kind of fun. I just got ClassPass and like tried a bunch of classes. And if you're bored of like your routine, it's definitely something cool to do. It like, even if you love lifting and you like love doing that stuff, like one of the days doing a yoga class, doing a Pilates class. I also loved ClassPass because I did the boxing classes and it was really fun.
I've wanted to try boxing I also feel like it's just good to know like how to punch. and kick. Like, I feel like it's just a good skill to have. And I've learned the basics before, but it's been like years since I've like actually put on like anything and punched someone.
The hard thing for me is usually I'm not very quick at picking up combinations for anything, whether it's posing, dance, punching, Pilates, where they said, okay, you're going to go up and hit ballerina. You'll push up and you'll hit it wide. I was like, wait, what?
Who's ballerina?
I was like, we're doing this. And then it takes me a little bit to pick up combinations like that. It doesn't come very quickly to me. That's why my posing journey has been a lot, because I was like, wait, I moved my foot where? I already forgot.
Yeah.
And so that was also a weird thing, because they had like certain foot movements, and I was like, the lady next to me was like basically helping me the entire time, because she's like, okay, you got to grab this. This is how you set your machine up.
That's so sweet of her.
And I was like, thanks. It was so nice. And I just kept looking at her and be like, okay, whatever Susie's doing, I'm going to do what Susie's doing.
That's me with yoga. We're like, I haven't done yoga enough to like know the term. So they'll just say like, get into blah, blah, blah position. And I'll like kind of eye the people around me. And I'm like, I would love to be able to like close my eyes and relax and get into a deep stretch. Yes. But I'm so concerned I'm doing the wrong stretch that I'm like, well, I don't want to be the only one doing this.
They're screaming out animal names. Yeah. What do we do? And another thing that I wanted to mention about it is that it made me feel like a beginner again, which is super scary, but also cool, because I walked in there and was like, I need to buy sticky socks? I don't have sticky socks. And they're like, you need sticky socks for the class. And I was like, then I'll just buy some sticky socks here, and those will be my sticky socks that I use. And then I got to my machine and I just like sat there and was like, what do we do? And I look at all the other girls and they're like setting it up, twisting knobs. Adorable. And I was like, and then the lady next to me saw that I was confused and started helping me. I was like, thanks. And then afterwards, they all these different foot positions.
This is exactly why I want to go with you, because I am so scared of going alone.
Yes.
Like, I feel like after my first class, I have a feeling I'll love it and I'll keep it in my routine. I just need to not be alone for my first one.
Yes.
So I don't have that instance where I'm like, I'm doing something wrong and I'm embarrassed.
It's just like when you first start going to the gym, like there's a bunch of tools there that you don't know how to use. And with Pilates, I was like, there's a machine, there's a mat, there's a ring. I need sticky socks. I was like, I don't know what you need for the things. I was like, with the gym, I was like, my belt. You have your tools and your things, and you know how to rack machines.
That reminds me, it took me several years of actively weight training. I think I was literally in prep, if not close to starting my first prep. So that deep into the bodybuilding space before I was confident enough to try a leg press. I was convinced that thing was going to come down and crush me.
One thing that I had like a memory unlocked the other day, in one of my Gold's gyms that I go to, I'll go pose in their little room where they usually like to hold the classes or something like that. And I walked in there and I saw 3 girls. One was in one corner with a mat and some weights and stuff. Another girl was in another corner. Another girl was in another corner. And I went in there and was like, oh my God, I remember I used to do that. I had forgotten that when I first started lifting, I was so terrified of going into the dumbbell rack because I didn't know how to work anything. I was very self-conscious. I didn't feel like I belonged. And not saying that that's how they felt, but I remember grabbing just the stuff that I needed and I would book it to that room and I would do like the majority of my workout there, and only if I had to, I would go out into the big gym, and it just had like a memory unlocked, and I was like, wow, how far I've come.
Way. The gym I had in my like small town growing up, there was only one, and it was like a 25-minute drive from me, and I would go there on occasion, and they had like a room where I think they hosted those like HIIT classes.
Yes.
But every time I would go would be at night and there wouldn't be a class, so I would go in there and I'd be the only one, because I think people assumed like you couldn't ever go in there even if there wasn't a class going on. And I remember doing exactly that. I would like have my own little setup, and that was like my go-to spot every single time. I would like go out there, grab a dumbbell, bring it into this HIIT room, and like do my whole workout away from people. And I still do that at my gym now, which used to be an old Gold's gym, so it also has like that big studio area, whatever. Anytime I'm like about to do something and I walk up to the machine and it's taken, and I go, okay, backup plan, and I walk to that machine and it's taken, I go, I'm going to the studio room because I just need to remove myself and do something on my own, and then I'll come back and hopefully something will be available. So it's still always like a safe play of like, just go be alone in the studio if you need to do a quick exercise in there.
Take some breathers and then okay, we're going to walk out and we're going to go find dumbbells. So, and
little pep talk.
Little pep talk to the girls too, just in case there's any out there that eventually do want to move from that room into the outside. You can do it.
You can.
You can do it.
We were there once.
Yes. Start by I would do like, say I had 6 workouts. I would do like 5 of mine, and then I'd do like one-on-one. I'd figure out how to work out that machine, or I'd even be in that room and I'd be like looking at videos of like how to do it. And then I'd go out there and just like do the same thing.
I love that this is a universal experience because I'm like absolutely did the same thing. I even still sometimes look up exercises because I know I'm using this wrong.
Yeah, I still do to this day. And like, I have been training a long time, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Or I try a new workout and I just need to see someone else do it.
Yeah. I've even gone up to the front desk people. They are bored. Let me tell you, I used to work at a gym. You don't do a lot at the front desk.
True.
I remember them always coming up to like the personal training desk, and we would just like talk and hang out. So I can attest that if you need help setting something up or wondering how something works, like it does not hurt to go up to them. Of course, if they're not like helping someone and being like, do you mind showing me how to use this? And like, they should at least attempt. And I remember that weird stand-up hip thrust thing that I showed you. I had talked to the front desk person and asked them to show me, and he went, I actually don't know. So we're going to figure this out together. And we both stood there and we Googled it and we watched some videos and we set it up, and it was like a wholesome experience. So never be afraid to ask someone either. And if they don't help you, they're the a-hole.
Yeah, they're the a-hole.
It is not your fault.
Nothing wrong with you.
Anything else?
That's all I have for today.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Well, as always, guys, we love you all so much, and you are more powerful than you think.
Bye.